So the PlayStation 5 has finally been revealed in what's been described as the largest live stream presentation for any game console like ever. Anything in gaming, it seems. This was the biggest. And I have to say, while the PlayStation 5 system itself is certainly polarizing, I am absolutely fascinated with this design and how they are making it all work. All right, so we might have later on at some point as a video where I do my best to deep dive into the overall console from what we know now and try to determine how it's even put together, because its shape and its design certainly reflects a lot of decisions that Sony had to make in R&D. And something that we saw during that live stream, of course, was the PlayStation 5, but I don't necessarily think a lot of us, when we were first seeing it, realized how big the PlayStation 5 really is. Now, looking at the front of the PlayStation 5, there are a few things that we can use to try to scale and figure out the size of it relative to other systems that have come out before it. The biggest one you can use is the USB Type-A port on the front, as those are standard size, since you, of course, would put a USB cable or a flash drive or something into it, so it pretty much has to be the same size across the board. The disk drive is another thing. However, the outline of the disk drive can be larger or smaller by generally millimeters, but it can still kind of throw off the whole thing of trying to scale it up and figure out the size of the system. But there were people on Reddit who decided to take the system and try to measure it out and figure all of this out. And then I saw also people on different forums like Reset Era and others that tried to come together and continue to compare it. And we now have what's been put together as an image that's pretty much like a lineup of all the systems. And people, I think, will be surprised at how much bigger the PlayStation 5 is than a lot of us were expecting it to be when we first saw it, especially next to like the DualSense controller. If you go back and look at it now, next to that DualSense, yeah, it looks a bit bigger now, and now you're thinking about it that way. But check this out. This is the lineup that was put together online. I'll link down below to the Reddit post that's being shared around for this image, so you can also check it out, like this big blown up image. It's fairly large, and you can kind of scroll through it. But the biggest thing here is, of course, a lot of us looked at that Series X and we said, wow, that is quite a thick system, I guess is what everyone was saying. And it is. It still is. If you look at it next to any of these here, it is much wider than any of these. I mean, it's close, I guess, to the PlayStation 3, but that had like rounded off edges and all this. No. The Xbox Series X is just like a brick. It's like a cinder block, right? So you can see how much taller the PlayStation 5 is than everything. The one that really surprised me is the original Xbox One VCR, which is a big system. If you put it on its side, it's a bit surprising. I mean, it's there with the PlayStation 3, but once again, it is just a brick. Like, it's not curved or anything, and it kind of gives this illusion that it is larger than it really is. No, it's just a brick. It's a lot of empty space inside because Microsoft was concerned, I think, with overheating possibilities after what they experienced with the Xbox 360. But take a look here. This is the PlayStation 5 compared to the other systems, and it being so much taller than even the George Foreman grill PlayStation 3 was a bit surprising. However, you can go right now if you have an Xbox One or an Xbox One X or even a 360, which, as people are starting to point out, the PS5 has a striking resemblance, specifically the all-digital one, to the 360 when you look at it straight up, like head on. It does. It really does. But you can see on the front they used the disk drive and then the USB Type-A because you can take it, scale it between all of the systems with the different renderings, and it appears that the PS5, instead of going width-wise, they decided to just build up. So they basically did build a tower. Now this, of course, brings up a lot of questions about how it will fit into, well, people's entertainment centers. I think it'll fit fine, and I guess because they built upwards, they figured hey, they can put it next to the TV on the side. There'll probably be some racks that are released that let you kind of hang it next to your TV. It's supposed to be able to lay sideways as well, and I guess they're going to have a horizontal stand from what I'm hearing, unless it's the one that they were also sitting it on vertically, and it's designed to also accept the PS5 when you lay it on its side. But then you got to consider how, I mean, seriously, this is a big guy, and it's going to be laying horizontally much wider than even like the Xbox One or the PlayStation 3. It still looks very sleek without that disk drive kind of on the side for the physical version. The all digital one, I still believe, is the one that Sony designed initially, and then they realized, oh, we got to put a disk drive on this thing somewhere, slap it on the right side and push it out the door, I guess. But clearly Microsoft was not joking that in order to make all of this work, they pretty much had to build a tower. And I mean, Sony did the same thing, really. They just dressed it up a bit differently. Microsoft just said, hey, make a brick and put it out there. That's just the way it is. Sony at least tried to get a bit creative, and they created something that people are either side of the fence here with this thing. There's very few people in the middle that are just like, it looks all right. It is designed to be bold, and it's designed to be a conversation starter, center of attention in the living room kind of thing. We'll see how that plays out for Sony. I am absolutely fascinated with how this thing is put together. So I'm going to look over a lot of the renderings myself, see if I can figure out anything else about this, specifically the cooling, because I think I was on the right track when I was looking at that patent and saying that they were going to continue using that kind of 2 active zone setup for cooling. This is showing that to be more and more the case here. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. I saw this image and I said, wow, it is much larger than I thought initially. I think people looked at that and thought it was more like I guess an Xbox One X kind of size at first, and then you start to see it compared to these, and it's a big guy. It is a big system. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you like the video and know about it if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.